Okay, so welcome. So we are here today with the lovely Heather Sontag, and we're here to talk about digital systems to stop overwhelm so that you can attract. So I'll, of course, hand the mic over to her, but my understanding is that talking about like all of these to-do items that we all have on our computers and our emails and like sitting at the screen. Well, what are the systems we can put into place to streamline some of that and make being at the computer a little less of a headache, and kind of start eliminating, weeding out overwhelm from the tasks that are necessary that we have to do to run a successful business. So there is a more professional bio on the Meetup page for this call, and I'll also include it when we put the video on the resource page. I will include her official bio, but I'd like to give a more warm welcome to Heather. So Heather, she's actually come in for her second round of the mastermind, and I was just like clicking my heels with ecstasy knowing that I got to get to circle with this woman for another year. Heather, I love the way that you show up. And you show up with such intelligence and openness, and also with so much heart. Like I found myself this morning literally just like lying in bed with a smile on my face because of some of the conversations that you and I have had about raising teenagers, because our kids are in a similar enough genre of teenagehood that we often get a good chuckle about about where they're at. So just so easy to get along with and so smart, and I just feel honored to count you not only among the FemTalk speakers, but also now among my friends. So just so much welcome to you. Thank you so much for offering to do this. And Heather is a professional organizer, both of spaces and sanctuaries and homes, and also obviously about our computers. So I'm going to go ahead and without any further ado, pass the mic to you, Heather. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you so that you're big.
Okay.
And welcome. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. I'm all fuzzy inside right now. It's always so wonderful to do things with you, Jessica. You just make everyone feel so welcome, and I really appreciate that. And I'm excited to be with all of you this morning and kind of sharing the ins and outs of how to keep your sanity when dealing with all the things in the digital realm, especially about how you communicate and how you just manage to get all the information you need handled. Because it's very easy for it to just like explode and go in all sorts of directions and not know where things are. And so I love it when people feel like they can get that stuff in order, because that's when you can really do what's really important in the world. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to share a couple things. So let's see. We'll just start out with this. All right, so you guys can see the slide just to start with. I loved this image because it was all like, you're trapped in this box and you can't get out, and you don't have to be that way. You can organize your digital world so you can really get out and enjoy your real life, the life away from computers. And I always like to start any kind of conversation I have about this kind of stuff with a few kind of precepts and ideas. And one is that organizing is not something that's like built in. It is a learned skill. And that means anybody can learn it. And that also means that it sometimes takes some time to learn it, and it's not something that can be taught in one way and one way only. I always say that organizing is not one size fits all. I don't have a paper system that I hand to every single client and say, do this. It's all about what works for you. How does your mind work? How does your business run? What's important to you? And, what triggers things that help you find what you're looking for. And then as far as digital organizing goes, it's just like physical organizing. If you've got, a messy office, if you try to do it all in 1 hour, it's never going to happen. So doing one thing at a time and taking it slow so that you don't overwhelm yourself and burn out. And then kind of the last thing is that your computer is a tool. It is not the end-all be-all. It's not the whole world. And so learning how to use it for support of what you really do in the world is great. And also stepping back from it when you're frustrated, walk away, go outside, take a deep breath, and just disconnect from that electromagnetic field, because it can really make you feel wonky. And if you run a lot of energy through your body, you can also make electromagnetic things like my headsets that I always use for my client calls. I blow through them because of all the energy you run through. So just knowing that sometimes you just really need to take a step back and let it go before diving back in. All right, so those are the things I want you to know before we get into the nuts and bolts of everything. So the first thing I like to have everybody do, and I'm always surprised and a little worried when I find out how many people do not actually have backups of their computers and all their information. And to responsibly talk about all these other things you might be adjusting or settings you might be changing, you need backups of your information. You work very hard to create your data and your, all of your writing and programs and exercises and workshops and anything you're creating and you're storing digitally could disappear like that if it's not backed up. So there's two kinds of backups. There's local backups, and if you use a Mac, you can use Time Machine, which is what this logo is, on an external drive. Or if you're using a PC, you can get an external drive that you just plug into the computer, and you can set up an automatic backup happening with some software that usually comes with an external drive. External drives are not that expensive, and that way you always have your backup on site in case something happens. I keep mine in my drawer next to my desk, and once a week, once every 2 weeks, I just plug it in and it runs in the background. And then you also want to have an off-site or cloud-based backup. There's many companies. There's Backblaze, Carbonite, and Mozy. I like Backblaze. It's the one I use, and they are a local San Francisco-based company. And basically, you pay them a certain amount every year, and they, from the internet, come in and copy everything off to a server off-site, so that if anything happens to your computer, it crashes, there's an accident in your office, it's stolen, anything like that, you can always access all these things. And the reason you want both an offsite and a local backup is because the offsite backup, even though it's important because of physical disaster that could happen in your space, the cloud-based backups take a really long time to get back onto a new computer or reboot a computer. Your hard drive, you can pull files off like that. So if something happens to your computer and you need to get to stuff really quickly and it's not a huge disaster, your local backup will solve that problem. Okay, so that's a push I like everyone to do, because it will save you many, many headaches down the line. And that's not something that takes a lot of technical know-how or anything. You just kind of sign up for services or buy the right equipment and plug it in to your USB drive. So getting into actually how to work with the systems and stuff, the first thing I want to talk about today is email. And I'm actually shifting this conversation for the first time. I usually just focus on email, but I think it's become something that I'm paying more attention to, and I'm noticing other people, is that it's not just email anymore. It is all electronic communication. So you've got your email, you've got Instagram messages, you've got text messages, you've got Facebook messages, and it's a lot to keep up with. It's a lot to who do I talk to in this platform, and when do I talk here? And so knowing that there's a lot of this that goes on, I think it's very helpful, and this would have been a rule when I had this conversation before, whether it was just about email and now it's about everything, is you want to set parameters for how you communicate and with what tools you communicate. And one way you can do that is by making your requests. How do you want, getting clear about how you want to communicate with people, and then being sure to communicate that to other people so that they know how it works for you. Jessica does a really good job of this. A few weeks ago, she was like, can you send me something? Send it via email, and then send me, I think it was a Facebook message or a text message that you emailed it. And it was very clear to me that she is getting information, like with lots of data in it, in an email. Yet, personal communications about conversations and little things like that, that's where she's really paying daily attention and moment-to-moment attention. And so having me say, hey, I sent you that email and a text message, alerted her to the fact that there was that bulk of information in email. I know for myself, like I'm very clear with my clients, if you have anything you need, please email me. And that's because then I can have that dedicated time to focus on client questions and concerns and pull resources from my computers and my other cloud-based services so that I'm not trying to forward something in a text or a Facebook message. So getting very clear for yourself how you best communicate within things. And of course, there's going to be times where people just message you and you just have to go with it. But the more you know what works for you and the more you're clear about it, the easier it is for you to then manage it because you know what to expect where. A lot of companies these days, and you don't even have to be that big of a company, are using services where they're not even involved in email anymore, such as Slack, Basecamp, HipChat. These are places where projects are managed, communication happens, messages go back and forth, all within a single platform. And I know companies, and mainly tech companies, but I know tech companies with 2 or 3 people who use these in order to avoid the overload of email so that when you're working on a single project, you can look at all the conversation about that project versus digging through email. So we may find in our future that email becomes more and more of just what our mailboxes, our physical mailboxes used to become, which is occasionally we get something really cool in the mail. Occasionally we still do. But a lot of it's just advertisements, information from service providers and things like that. So it may shift in the future. So just knowing that technology and how we communicate has been on a constant, transformation, and it will continue to do so. All said and done, at this point in time, we still must deal with the email and other communications. So creating a system for yourself to do that. And one of the systems I really, really like, and I'm going to try to make my screen big so you guys can see this. Did that work? Okay, great. So this comes from asianefficiency.com, and they do a really great job of doing a visual workflow of how to work with your email in batches, touching it once and not using it as a task list. Like it's not your place that you keep your to-dos. And the reason you don't is because email is the land, it's like the internet, it's the land of distraction. There's just so many rabbit holes you can go in. You're, getting some information off your email and a new one pops up and that's new and exciting. And so you get sidetracked instead of staying on task. So basically this idea is that you take a certain amount of time and you schedule it into your life, whether it's first thing every morning or a few times a day, where you actually process email. And what that means is that you go into your inbox and you ask yourself, what is that email? Is it a reference file? Then I put it where I keep reference material. And there's different sources or places for that. Or do I trash it? Or is it a task? So it can be one of 3 things. It can be a reference file, it can be trash, or it can be a task. If it's a task, do I do this, or is this something I'm forwarding to an assistant? And if no, just forward it, delegate it if you can do it right away, because that gets it out of your inbox and off your mind, and that's why you block off this time for processing. And you can do this with messages too. Like if you need to spend, 5-10 minutes a day just going through text messages and doing the same few things. If it is your job to take care of this message, can I do it now? And what it means by do it now is that, is it going to take probably about 2 minutes or less? Is it like a quick response? Is it add a date to your calendar? Is it something that's really fast and you can handle it? And if it is, get it there, get it out of your inbox, because there, once again, it's not sitting there as like a nagging thing that you have to do later. And then, if not, that's when you add it to your task manager. And we're going to talk about task managers, whether that's pen and paper or like an electronic system, in a few minutes. And then you can go farther in. Does it need a due date? Yes, no, and those kinds of things. But as you can see, the main concepts is you're doing this in batches. You're ideally touching email once, and you're pulling your tasks from your email into some sort of task management system, even if it's just a to-do list. It doesn't have to be fancy and elaborate. Let's see. I just want to. Okay, great. But I want to talk about email. So I've got to somehow. There we go. I'm going to pull up email, but I'm actually going to. If you don't have a question right now, just unmute yourself and ask before I move on to talk about some of the logistics of email and stuff. Anybody?
Well, I love this. I love geeking out on this. This is great. At first, when you showed the flow, I was like, overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming at first, but it's...
I like that sorting, and I can definitely see that there are certain types of communication that I really need to just forward to my VA. It's not my job, and I haven't been holding that boundary. So thank you. That just helps me clarify.
Yeah, and it's totally okay to not be involved in everything in your business and let other people handle it. Because, that's when we get into our sweet spots, is when we're willing to pass off things. And we're going to talk about how to set yourself up with task management so that you can eventually pass off things to assistants and not be doing it all yourself. All right, let's see.
Heather, I have one other quick question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I imagine this might not be the same for everyone, but do you, I know that it's different in different platforms, but like for Gmail, you can file things and you're not file them, but archive them, essentially into different things. And I'm just wondering if you have anything to say about that in terms of like what you were talking about before.
Yes, because that's actually what I'm going to talk about right now.
Yeah.
You're so awesome. You're like reading the future here. Here's my Google inbox.
Okay, I'll mute myself now.
All right. Any other questions before I start talking about actually email and archive, actually, specifically? Nope. Okay. So you can use, there's webmail, which is like you access your email through the web, or some people use a mail client, which is like Apple Mail or Outlook on your computer. And there's no right or wrong. A lot of people these days use the Google inbox on Google webmail, and so that's what I'm going to be demonstrating with today. A lot of the tools I'm demonstrating can be used in other platforms as well. I'm also using Chrome because it interacts best with Google, because it's Google's own platform. I tend to use Firefox more than Chrome, but for this demonstration, I'm just kind of showing you this way. One thing that I do, and I have seen it work for some of my clients, is separating out, having two emails, one for your personal and one for business. and even potentially a third one for like subscriptions and purchasing at Zappos and, you know, wherever you might do that kind of stuff, so that all the advertisements aren't ending up in your work inbox. And so when you go to your work email, you can really just do that workflow in about 20 to 30 minutes once you get the hang of it. But if you're getting everything you've ever received, it's, you know, grandma and mom sending you like pictures and aunt, you know, so-and-so telling you this, and, you know, all those things you signed up for, it can be a lot to process. And that's when you stop paying much attention to it. And if you choose to do that, that's fine. But once again, you're going to have time to look at your personal, time to look at your business, and occasionally going in and looking at your subscription or purchase ones to be sure receipts and things like that are in there. But it can help keep your business inbox kind of cleared out. So the first thing I would recommend doing is turning off all your alerts on your phone, on your desktop, and in Gmail itself. And the reason for this is, and I'm talking about Facebook message alerts and Facebook, like just even like Facebook alerts, like someone posted something, or you've got an email, or the only one I keep on is text messages, because that's how I communicate fast with my kids and my husband, and on a personal level where I actually might need to do something quickly. But every time one of those dings goes off, two things happen. You have a cortisol release and you have an adrenaline release. And so your body is constantly on this hormone up and down, and it's really bad for you. It wears your system out and it keeps you on high alert. And you do get kind of an excitement from it, but then you get a low from it, and then the cortisol is constantly releasing the stress hormone. And we have enough of that in our world that I would highly recommend going into your settings and your phone and turning off all the notifications. You can even turn off the little red badges, so that if you have 2,000 or 20,000 emails, you don't have to have that red circle telling you you have 20,000 emails. You can turn it off. And so I would really recommend doing that. And you can do a lot of this kind of stuff up here in settings right here. So there's this cog, and you go down to settings, and the only real alert you'll have through Google Mail is, let's see, desktop notifications. Say mail notifications off. Because I don't want a banner coming up every time I get an email. A lot of the times, because I do screen share and work with clients on their specific stuff, and I don't want to be interrupted by like anything coming in when I'm having my time with my clients. I want to be focused, or when I'm writing, I don't want a distraction. I want to be able to just get in that place of flow and deep work. And a lot of these little tiny tweaks can help you get to that place of where you're really creating your magic and not getting taken off into the netherlands of the digital world. Any questions about the notifications? Nope. Okay, so let's talk about that archive. So if you're in your inbox, let's see, go to my inbox. So this is my mail from like the last day and a half or something. And actually not even, because I had to sit in my car and wait on a kid last night. I cleaned it out real quick. So what you can do is, everybody has, mine's called archive. A lot of people's will, and it's because I usually access mail a different way. But most people says all mail. Can you all wave if you have seen all mail in your inbox if you use Google? It should be over on the left side of your, on the left sidebar over here. But basically what happens, so if I click on an email, you know, this new menu pops up at the top. And this button right here, it's like a folder with a little arrow pointing down. It archives. So instead of trashing everything, I just have the default activity to be archive. And what that does for you, and you can do this in Outlook as well if you don't have a Gmail-based email, but what this does is it lets it go out of my inbox. It's gone. Yet anytime I look for it, let's see, it's going to, there it is. It's right there, but it's not in my inbox. So it saves it in this category of all mail or archive without actually having to be visually in front of you all the time. This means you don't have to have hundreds of folders saved for every client. In some instances, I know some realtors, when they're working on a specific client, they do that, or some attorneys have some special things they have to do. But all in all, most of us don't need to keep, you know, every last thing from everybody we're getting. So therefore, you can just hit archive. So right here, I can archive it. And that way, if I need to find it later, it's very easy to find and search, because Google's search capabilities are great. So trusting that system, and test it out for yourself. You know, test it. So I did it on things that I don't really need to access, but I know my system works because I've been using it for a really long time. The only place that I found it doesn't always as easily find it is via my phone. Sometimes when I go to search, it doesn't always come up immediately, but if I add a few extra keywords to my search, it will finally come up. But on a desktop, laptop, it always works fabulously. Any questions about the archive? Because it's huge, because it's how you can clean out your inbox. Nope.
You're doing awesome.
All right. No question. So one way you can get your inbox back to close to zero, or, you know, is to set a cutoff date. So, you know, everything in the last 30 days, if it's 30 days and older, I'm probably not going to respond to it, so to speak. And you can click 30 days and down, and you can just mass archive just by, like, if you did this and you hit all, this button pops up and you can archive everything. And that way you can, or you can do it, you know, selectively like this and go in and archive. But that way you can go through and bulk archive old things. And when you search, they will pop back up, and then you don't have to have 500 or 20,000 emails in your inbox. And then it's actually kind of easier to find things, because you're not like scrolling, oh, was that last week, 2 weeks ago? It's just what's the most current things in there. And so the next thing I want to point out is canned responses. How many people already use Gmail canned responses? These are awesome. So when you go compose, you can create basically a template. I got to keep moving your pretty faces. Over here, this little tiny arrow pops up an extra menu, and it's canned responses. And so I can insert, so let's see. So for example, like if you send out an email repeatedly, so this is one of the organizing and coaching programs I run. So once they've set up the payment, I just pop this up, I check out that everything's current for them, I put in their address, and off it goes. I don't have to rewrite the same email over and over and over again. So it's great for follow-up emails to enrollment conversations. It's great for onboarding clients. It's great for after events. If you have, you know, 5 or 6 people you want to email directly to set up a discovery session or something like that, having all this created in advance means you're not recreating the wheel over and over again. So I'm going to show you how you actually make one right now. So you hit compose and you write your email. So, dear person, it was great to meet you yesterday. Let's connect some more. Here's the link to my scheduler. Did I spell every? No, not quite. Scheduler. And then you can put in your link and you save it by coming back down to that arrow, going to canned messages, and then you save. So you can rewrite them, or you can, where's the new, where is it? Okay, sorry. I keep having to move you guys. Insert, save new canned response right here. And out pops a window where you name it. So it's, you know, this is like, you know, I could call it, you know, network follow-up. And hit OK. And now it's saved. And the next time I want to meet up with someone, I come in here. Once again, I've hit compose. I've started over again. I go to my canned response, and it's right there. And there it is. And if you have a link in there, it will keep the link in there. The one thing it does do is it duplicates your signature. So when I save a canned response, I always save it without my signature. It's a little tip. So you don't end up with two signatures in the email. Any questions about that? You guys are all brilliant. You're just getting it. Okay.
Well, that's a great tip. I like that because I do a lot of small response to people after meetups and groups. So thanks. I had never seen that.
Yeah, and I find it really great, especially with my the steps for getting a client onboarded.
Yeah, that's a super tip.
Payment plan set up. Here, I need you to fill out this questionnaire, and here's the landing page for all your resources, and just breaking it up for them too, so they're not getting too much information at once.
Right, and networking events, and they're editable, I imagine, so you can kind of personalize them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so a lot of times what I'll do is this will just be Nancy, and what I'll do is anything I want to personalize.
Yeah.
I have to move you guys again. I will actually make them red in the saved canned message.
Oh.
So that when it pops back up again, I'm automatically, my eye goes there and go, oh, I'm not writing Nancy, I'm writing Dawn.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then you do have to change it to, of course,
sure,
black.
Of course. But just to not
ain't all red.
You don't have to rewrite it, Heather. That's a great super tip. So thanks.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about in email that's really a fabulous tool. It is a plugin that you add to your browser, and it's called Boomerang. Does anybody use it right now? So this is the little button for Boomerang, and you go to boomerang.gmail or boomeranggmail.com, and all you have to do is hit add this to your Gmail, or there's one for Outlook. I think it's Boomerang Outlook. And I'm actually going to send you some resources, or you can access a page with resources, and it has that on it. And it will install this little plugin, just like LastPass and Drive and other plugins I have up here. And a plugin is just like this extra little tool that allows you to do extra things on different web pages. And in this one, what it allows you to do is a few things. One of my favorites is pause your inbox. So you push this button, and it basically, nothing loads into your inbox. And okay, pop up. Something's going on there, and I'm not going to take the time to minimize this. Okay, it says to refresh. Okay, but basically, it allows you to put your email inbox on pause, which then nothing comes into the inbox, but it's being stored in the cloud for you. So people can send you email, and you have a message that goes back out to those people at that time. My inbox is on pause, and you can edit it. And I like it for when I really, I'm going to travel, but I'm still going to have my phone, but I really don't want to work. And it's more of a tool for me to not get sucked into working. I can't check my email, but I may need to look at personal email to stay in touch with family members or things like that. So it's a really great way to just like be like, no, I'm really disconnecting from work. I am off work this weekend, or I'm off work this week. So it's a little different than just creating a vacation response, which you can also do in Gmail through your settings over here. Down at the bottom, you can create a vacation responder down here. But the Boomerang pause is just even better, I think, because it just can't arrive, so you don't get sucked in, and it's not there. The other thing it does, so it's got about 3 things, is when you compose a message, so I can, Jessica, I'm going to send you an email. Hi, and yada, yada. You can, then there's this thing, you can send it later. And then you get to decide when it gets sent. So like sometimes I want my clients to remember to do something every week. And when I get off a call from them, I will go schedule 3 emails or 2 emails. Don't forget to do this. You're reminded to do this. And I just schedule them to go out so I don't have to remember later that I'm supposed to be reminding them. It's part of that accountability I can hold for my clients without having to like have a reminder going off on my phone or my desktop. It's already taken care of. So you can schedule emails, or you can click this little box right here and decide. Somehow Boomerang's doing funny things right now. Yes, okay. Pop-ups, right corner of your browser window. I don't know why it's not doing this. Select always allow pop-ups. Yes, of course.
Click the little in the browser, like where you would type in something. There's like a little tiny red X.
Aha, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you tell I don't use Chrome very much. But it communicates with Google much better. So, okay, so let's try that again. Compose. Oh, I've got 2. I don't need that one. There's the yada yada. So, so I can click this, and you can decide. Yes, we know, login successful. Okay, you know that if I don't hear, if there's no reply, or if it's not clicked or not opened or anyway, you can click this and decide how many days or when you want this email to pop back into your email inbox. So if you know you need responses from somebody, or you really want to be sure someone read something, this is a tool for you to have a follow-up system without having to make another to-do on your to-do list. It comes back into your inbox, and it's part of just your inbox processing.
Awesome.
So, yeah, so that one's the 3 things from Boomerang, and it's totally free. You can pause, you can schedule emails without it being like through MailChimp or Constant Contact or Entreport or any of those, or you can have things pop back up in your inbox if something specific doesn't happen with them. So are there any more questions about all this? Like, did that answer, Ursula, did that answer your question about the archive too?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I like seeing how you have things, and then I might go back and look and keep some of the ways that I've like filtered mine, but also see like there's some things that I think they're not even useful, and how what you're talking about makes a lot more sense. So
yeah. And you know, everybody sets up things differently. It used to be like even Asian Efficiency, which is like productivity like gurus, they used to recommend having lots of, you know, put your stuff into folders, all these folders over here. And I still have some because I've just never taken the time to like get rid of them. They're just there, and I don't really use them anymore. But if you do need some folders, one of the tricks that I like is putting an @ in front of it. And I have like 4. And I sort of use them, but not a lot. I like to keep, meetings and things in my appointments so that I always, like if I have to get on a Zoom, the link is in there. Or I've got to be at a new address, the address is in there if it's not in my calendar for some reason or another. And I know, first of all, I don't know if you've done this. You can set up a lot of filters to really like screen things out. And it can help some people if you get lots and lots of email. But I also find that to be its own, like it's a pretty big task to set up those filters initially anyway. How many of you actually have your Gmail with the promotions and the social boxes set up?
I do.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is something that can help some people. It's in your settings. I don't personally like it. It is in, I don't remember where that one is. It must be, it's in labels or inbox. Inbox, yeah. So you can have categories set up and it will filter your email into like, I just use primary, but you can also have like social, and it shows you over here on the side, like LinkedIn, spiritual Fem Talks would go in there. Like a lot of the meetup stuff would go in there. Promotions, like things that I get that are more about like what they deem as promotions. And the reason I don't have it set up is because I've found that I'll miss stuff by having it set up that way. And I feel like then I have to go to each tab. And so for me, it doesn't work. And sometimes I think it creates more work. But if it pulls things out for you and you can make it work for you, as I say, it's not one size fits all. It's however you make it work for you. Nancy, did you have a question?
I do. I have a Google Mail, but I haven't used it in years. I have my own domain that I've been using for everything, and then a webmail for my business. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing it's the archive thing I really hooked into, but I know I've seen that word on my Apple Mail. Do you happen to know, does it work the same way?
It should.
Okay.
It depends on how I use Apple Mail as my main interface for dealing with mail, and I do that because then I'm not online, and the rabbit holes that happen to me online. Like I just get like, oh, shiny thing.
Yeah, I know. But
so I do go into the Gmail webmail to do Boomerang and to do my canned messages. So it should, if you've got it set up on the back end.
Okay, I'll have to check that. So I would click on the email and then that I want to save, and then the archive button.
Mm-hmm. And so that could be archiving on your hard drive on your computer, or it could be archiving via whatever cloud service is backing up your server for your email, basically. And even if you have your own email with your own domain, you can have it route through Gmail. And you just, there's a way to do that. I'm not going to go into the details of how to do it, but it's not that hard.
It's not your ordinary domain. It's got a lot of security backup behind it. It's a special thing set up. So if it happens on webmail, if there's the same thing.
I don't know, because I don't know exactly what you're using. I'd have to kind of look at it with you.
Okay.
And dig into it to figure that out for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica, I have a question. It's Laura. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I couldn't unmute earlier, so a couple back. Actually, I have two.
Yeah.
One is about Facebook and turning off the notifications.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times I've tried to do that unsuccessfully. Where do you do it? I mean, I've gone into Facebook when I'm on my laptop, I go into Facebook notifications, turn off notifications, and then they keep popping up. Am I supposed to do it on, Jessica's nodding. Am I supposed to do it on my computer? Where do I do it? Whenever I get a message, whenever I get a tagging, it keeps showing me.
Both places. So do you use a PC or a Mac?
Mac.
Okay. So you would go into System Preferences, and you go into, there's a notifications like, let's see, I can probably show you really quick. I have to do a new share. Let's see, system preferences, share. Okay. Where is my system preferences? There it is. Okay. So in your system preferences, there are notifications right here.
Okay.
And you go through each and every single one and turn them off.
Got it.
And you can set them to like do what you want. There is also.
So it's not just in Facebook. I have to do it also on each device, on the phone, on the iPad, on the laptop, or the iMac. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And then there's also these little things right here. You can, what does it do? I'm trying to remember. You option click this right here. So if you want to like work where there's if you option click this, see how it went kind of gray and off? You will receive no notifications. It's like your do not disturb for your computer if you're using a Mac. And then you just go hit option and click again and it turns back on. Like I get I get some calendar notifications.
Yeah, I get calendar notifications. So where was you're in notifications and it's the little moon, do not disturb?
That'll turn everything off.
Okay.
But then like calendar, so you can decide if you want to get banners, alerts, none. Same thing down in like, Messenger, that's messages. So you can just decide what you're getting like, as far as messages. And then if you don't want any, you can turn on do not disturb. You can set a certain time. Mine's set here because it's, I have my phone automatically go to do not disturb every night at 10 p.m. And it does not turn back on until 7 a.m. And that way, like, if someone's texting me at night, I can turn it off. Like, if my kids are sleeping somewhere else or my husband's out really late. But, like, I'm not working at 10 o'clock at night. If I am, like, I don't want to be interacting with people at 10 o'clock at night. I might just be working on something I'm writing or, that would be a very personal choice. But that's one of the ways I set up boundaries for myself and for other people not to get into my space and energy.
Okay.
But if you want no alerts on your computer at all, ever, like your calendar and stuff, you go up to this. Do you see these 3 little lines with dots here on the right top? If you hit the option on your keyboard and click that, it goes completely like shaded off, not even as dark gray. And now you'll get no notifications at all. It's like your do not disturb.
I see.
And then
that's awesome.
You can turn it back on by clicking the option again.
Wow. What are those 3 buttons supposed to be? Those just means notifications?
Yeah. So if you click on it, you see your calendar pops up and your notifications, like anything that's coming up, like all the mail that's come in, like even though I don't get those coming up over here, they come up in notifications.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can do quick looks at things this way, like, oh, what's coming up and the weather's down there and my top few places and there's only a
much, Heather. Laura, I'm so glad you asked that question because I was having the same thing. Like I get like YouTube notification. I'm like, why? I don't remember signing up. I don't want to care if so-and-so posted a new video. So thank you. I just went in and turned them all off.
Yeah, turn them all off.
I'm not at my computer, but can I ask my second question?
Yes.
So a couple of paragraphs back or topics back, you were talking about separating personal and business and possibly subscriptions. So I have been doing that. I have my personal and my business, and I have a subscriptions one, which used to be my main. So I have 3, and I do it because when I'm off work, I don't want the cortisol, exactly as you said, of even reading my business email where there might be a client issue or something. I don't even want to know about it on my off hours. So I love checking my personal email. I'm checking my personal email. There's no business stuff in there. But the issue that I'm running into is managing what to put into my actual work email that I check and what to put into my other email, because I have kind of almost a junk email that my assistant checks. And what's I don't know which to put on my business card, because when I go to events, I meet so many people who ask me for my business card. I don't want to be subscribed to all their email lists, which has happened. And then it's all coming into my main email. But if I put it in the other one, I don't check that one. and I can miss it. Or sometimes my assistant sends me these random things. She doesn't know what they are, and she's just forwarding.
And
I'm like,
Okay.
And then plus what's happening is people are asking me if I want to be on things, and my regular email is getting more and more full, and I'm feeling like I have to exit it again, and I have 2 exited emails.
Yeah. So there's a way to do this that's a little better. There are 2 things. I mean, I think it's totally fine to tell people, no, I don't want to be on your mailing list. And I think it's also perfectly fine to unsubscribe from things, especially when people sign you up just by taking your business card. I think that's totally unethical. And I might be offending people right now, but I don't care.
It's a black hat practice. It's considered.
Yeah, it's not okay. You know, if you go in and sign up for something of theirs, or you get a free download, like that's when you know you're actively like signing up for their list. But if you go to a networking event and people just add you to a list, I really think it's unethical, because it doesn't mean you don't want to be connected to them, but you don't we all get way too much email, and we can't process that much. And so there's I would say give people your business email, because you want to have the personal connections. You could do 2 things. You could have your assistant going in there and unsubscribing you from things. The other thing is a tool called Unroll Me, unroll.me. And you sign up for it. It's free. You get ads in their things, but you don't get like extra emails. So basically what it does is it reads through your whole inbox, and it finds subscriptions. And it gives you 3 choices. So it takes a few minutes to set it up, and then maybe like once a month or twice a month, you should go in and kind of update it. It gives you 3 choices. Choice 1 is keep in your inbox. Choice 2 is roll up, and choice 3 is unsubscribe, and it will unsubscribe for you. And the choice 2 roll up means is it will put it in a digest email, and it sends you 1 digest a day. So you can get like 6 emails in 1 email, and it has a little snippet of each one. And then you can go in and be like, is there anything in there I want? No, I don't need that information right now. I've got that covered. So that's another way to kind of help minimize what's coming in, and also manage to get unsubscribed quickly to things instead of having to click through all their unsubscribe buttons.
Heather, is that an app or is that a plugin?
It's not either. It's something that actually just accesses your.
Can you show us where is it? It's so unroll.me.
Unroll.me.
Sounds like a great service.
And you just clean up your inbox. You get started. You have to give it permission to access your email.
Okay.
And then what happens is you'll get an email once a day, and at the top of an email, and it's free, is their advertisement.
Oh, okay.
One advertisement. It's not really that bad or invasive. I don't find it overwhelming or rude. And then under that, there's a snippet of each rolled up email you get.
So I'm going to cut in for just a second.
Yeah, we're out of time.
We're not out of time because we have until
10:15
after. Yeah. But I also know that some women do need to hop off at the hour. So what I'd love to do, because I think you have a free gifty for us.
Yes.
I want to give you an opportunity to talk about how women can connect with you, and then we can keep going until that 15-minute mark.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm like, what else? What else?
What else? So what I was going to talk about next is like how to actually take email and start integrating it with things with task management. But if you want to stay connected to me, some of the resources I was talking about, there's this website right here I made for you guys, ssorganize.com/FemInnerCircle. Can you see it on the slide right now?
Yeah, I'll find the URL and type it in.
Yeah. So, that's in like edit mode. So yeah, so it's right here down there at the bottom. And there's some articles that kind of go into more detail about some of the things we talked about. There's also a way to sign up for my mailing list. And I'm going to be doing and there's a way to sign up specifically for cleaning out your inbox challenge that I'm going to be running in April. So it's going to start on April 16th. And it's free. It's just 5 days. And I'll talk about some of the things I've talked about today, but I'm going to give you the actual specifics. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And it should take about 20 minutes a day for 5 days. And it will help you get your email from 10,000, 20,000 emails down to, hundreds of emails, even eventually down to, less than 100 if you follow the steps over, a few weeks. So it's just very specific ways to do that. And then if you want more information and you really need more help, I'm actually going to be doing a whole series of these webinars in May. And one will be like a deep dive into email management, and one will be a deep dive into task management, and then one will be a deep dive into documents, which I don't even know if we'll get to today.
Awesome. Yay. I did Heather's Take Back Your Inbox challenge about 6 months ago. It was great. I like being on her list because I know every time I open, I'm going to get some awesome tips and tech and yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you can find all that at that website and just stay connected that way.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to dive into tasks and how to kind of stay on top of things. And the best thing about the email is learning how to integrate it into these task management systems. And when I talk about integration, these days, if you're using technology to its most potential, you can have different applications communicating with each other. And so especially with task management. And so what is task management? Task management is just a way to contain and get done all your to-dos. And I don't care whether it's pen and paper or it's digital. It doesn't really matter, but the biggest thing you can do for yourself is to differentiate between tasks, which are a single step. Call Jessica. Write the email to Sarah. Read this document versus a project, which would be prepare for my workshop for the Goddess Revival. That is not a single task. That is many, many multiple tasks. And you want to be able to separate those two concepts in your mind, because if you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to do the Goddess Revival, what does that mean? It's not an action you can take. You have a project, and under that project, you have multiple tasks. Create a handout. Brainstorm workshop ideas. Reach out to assistants. So you have multiple tasks, and sometimes you even have multiple projects, because get assistance is 2 or 3 different things. Reach out to people, send them, documentation about what I want them to do, and confirm with them. So sometimes you have multiple projects under if it's a really big project. But getting to that point where you separate out those two will save you so much headaches and times and stress. So if you use electronic systems, digital systems for managing your tasks, there are so many out there. As you can see, there's 6, 7 different little logos. There's Wunderlist. There's Asana, there's Todoist, there's Trello, there's Monday.com, there's Things, there's Evernote. So there's all these different ones. I'll just make a few notes about each one of them. If you have one you like and you're using, I recommend keeping using it. Asana is great for larger teams. Wunderlist is really very simple and straightforward, although it's been bought by Microsoft and they're no longer promoting it. They really want everyone to use their OneNote, I think it's called. I've been using Wunderlist for a couple years now, and I like it for its simplicity, but I am moving away from it due to the fact that Microsoft has bought it and is not supporting it anymore. It still functions. I just don't know what might happen to it. Things is a desktop and phone-based application. It is not cloud-based, and I've never used it, but I love the way it looks. You do pay for it. You buy the application. And then like Trello, you can get a free version. Almost everything you can get a free version of. Monday.com, I have a client who uses it, who's an event planner, and she likes it because it's very visual. You can see where different parts of a project are overlapping. And then Evernote is not designed as a task manager. It is more of a reference, a place to keep information, but you can make it useful as a task manager if you're already using it for other things, so that you don't necessarily have to go out and get another task manager. So I'm going to quickly show you. Let's see. I'm going, nope. Where is my? I'm going to show you Wunderlist, what it looks like real quick, because it's very simple. So you just end up with an inbox, and then you have lists over here. So this was a project I did. I'm going to show the completed to-do so you can see. And basically you get to check things off, which always feels really good. And you can assign them to people. That's me. That's my assistant. You can put due dates. You can do things like create subtasks underneath everything, so you can check off different things that go with it. And what I love about using the electronic versions of these is that basically you can create a template. So over here, you can see I've got this event, live call, event prep checklist. That is basically what you just saw in this Envision event, which I did in February. There it is. And all you have to do is copy it and kind of update it a little bit for that. And by creating these kinds of things in your business, these checklists or these, lists of things you do every time you do them, you basically are creating operating manuals, which means it's very easy to pass them off to assistants. And if your assistant has to leave, then you've already got the system set off and you easily pass it off to a new assistant. So by doing it for yourself or working with an assistant to get them set up, you can just duplicate things really, really fast.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the other one, this is where I'm moving, and that's why I'm going to show it to you, is Trello. Oh, my board's not found. And Trello functions a little differently, so I'm still kind of like playing with it a lot and getting to know it. And any of these, my boards are not found. Let's see, back to home. There we go. But it functions in very much the same way. You can organize things a little differently here. Like here, this is one I share with my assistant. So you can see we're both on there. And under my tasks, under her tasks, and then we have a completed tasks. And there's dates that are due, and like this is an event that I've got coming up. Like we can have multiple, it has a card, and then like you can see like all the things that are happening down here. And you can do all this extra stuff. So each one of these programs can be very robust. And I recommend starting out very simply, doing one small project at a time. If you're going to move to a digital system like this, where you're, maybe you do your client intake and you just create a list of things you want to do every time you get a new client. And so you get a new client and you like duplicate that list for, your new client, Susie, and you just check off each thing you do as you do it. And then you get rid of it and you get a new client, you duplicate it and do it again. And so when you create a system like this, you want to do it slowly. So don't come in here and put everything you've got in Wunderlist or Asana all at once. Do one process at a time. Get used to the system, knowing the technology behind it, how you want to use it. But by really getting your tasks in something like this or in Wunderlist, you're going to simplify your life. And one of the great things about doing something like Trello is you can actually create an integration between Google Mail and Trello. And you can like have, oh, that mail came in. You can have just a single action you do that adds it as a card. That's what they call them, over here to your Trello board. And then all of a sudden when you come to do tasks, you're like, oh yeah, I need to like research. For me, it would be like research a new task manager that I don't know because I've got a client coming in who uses it. And then I would go, block off time on my calendar to spend an hour or two looking over a new task management system. So I have a overview of how that one works and where its certain buttons are and things like that. Any questions about that? Because we are about out of time.
I'm definitely going to check out both of these. Visually, it looks like Wunderlist might be more perfect for me, so I'm definitely going to play around. I can't believe that I've gone all this time organizing like teams of women and events, and I just use like my notes application on my my Apple Notes, which is basically the equivalent of a paper list.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, why do I not?
Yeah, and what I like about these is like, for things, this one, like when she checks off that something's done, I'm notified that it's done without her sending me an email.
That's great.
So you can kind of watch the progress of projects without having to have lots of email. And that is one of the best when collaborating or working with teams or, even just assistants. It's really nice not to be getting extra emails. And just being able to, I can come in here right now since we're trying this one out and look at, like she can see when I've finished my draft of my newsletter. I can see when she's like got it ready for review so that I know to like go look in that spot that I look in. And then, so it does really save a lot of email coming in and out of your inbox.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Any questions before we finish up? If anything does come up, feel free to email me. My email is also on that webpage that I shared with y'all. So you can always email me with questions. And I'd be happy to answer them, share resources and things like that with anyone.
I just typed in a resource for ladies who might be interested. This is actually something I'm checking out in terms of having something that does all of your email campaigns like MailChimp or ConvertKit or Constant Contact, and then having that be tied in with a shopping cart that allows for recurring payments if you want clients to be able to break things up, etc. Entreport is the one that seems like most people recommend, but it's prohibitively expensive for a lot of women. It's like $300 a month. And so my VA turned me onto this, which is, it's actually like a child of one shopping cart, but it's not as crazy as one shopping cart. It's really just the shopping cart, the email, it's all together. So I'm going to be moving over to this system and trying it out this year. And I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, I'd love to know how it goes.
Because I also have so many tasks related to the recurring thing and making sure that goes over to here and that client gets added. There's an automation piece.
And the more you can automate, the better it is. And the things like the archive and integration between different applications, the more you can do that, the more automation you create.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah. And I didn't get to talk about documents, but the one tip is you might have them here, there, and everywhere. Choose a single spot where you keep them and try to stay with it, whether it's Dropbox, whether it's your desktop, whether it's Drive, and be really consistent. So you're not looking all over the place for them. Yeah.
Well, this has been super helpful, Heather. Thank you so much. I think of myself as being very organized, but there's definitely more to go. So I'm just delighted at the resources. Ladies, I want to remind you that when we end this chat, all of the chat box will go away. So if there are any links in the chat, then you might want to grab those or just kind of copy paste the whole thing to a document and just kind of, weed through just so you have them. Because as soon as I end the meeting, that will all go away. Let's see, I typed in Heather's website for the Take Back Your Inbox Challenge. So I'll go ahead and put that back in here just so it's right at the last chat thing. So we're going to go ahead and complete. We've gone a little bit over. Heather, thank you so much. Again, it's such a deep, deep pleasure to be in sisterhood with you and to be in this circle with you. I love that I can see you almost every week. It's just such a delight. So please stay in touch with Heather. You'll see her around at lunches and circles and all that good stuff. And let's just complete by taking a final breath together as we go back out to our busy lives. So just take a moment to drop into your body, and let's just take a deep breath in and out. Awesome, beautiful women. Thank you so very much. Have a gorgeous day. Enjoy the rain that's here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And I will see you all very soon. We've got calls and circles and lunches coming up in the next couple weeks. So I'll see you live very soon. So much love to you.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Jessica. Bye.
Yay. Oh, I should turn off the recording. Okay.